towards the stars to save the universe from constant dystopian future visions. Terry searches for his moment as Brandon continues to speak without pausing, even for breath. Lore, guests, chats, and sometimes even staying on topic. Wildcast Live! Wild Space Wildcast Go! Across hyperspace rivers we ride tonight, through worlds of steel and neon light, exploring stories far and wide, with chaos always by our side. Wild Space Saga on YouTube, Wild Space Saga Live. Pirates, tanks, strange worlds collide. Wild Space Saga Live. Brandon's still talking somewhere out there. Terry's trying to get a word in. Wild Space Saga Live. Wild Space Wildcast Go!
All right, greetings YouTube. This is Brandon Hill, and unfortunately today we're not with Terrence Pegasus. I am with our our grumpy old man Michael and a good friend of ours, Vic. If you've seen us in our earlier Wild Space Saga Wildcast. Vic was a guest earlier on, and so this is Wild Space Saga, the epic sci-fi action adventure series you didn't know you needed, and this is the Wild Space Saga Wildcast. Made specifically to tell you why you need it, and as we've been around for a hot minute on Relative Silence on DeviantArt, what you've been missing. But before we begin, please take a moment to subscribe and hit that beautiful notification bell so that you won't miss a single bit of news, events, and live streams from our channel. Whether you catch us live or are watching after the fact, we want you to join us on the Northwest Passage. And finally, if we piqued your interest, links to our books available in paperback and ebook, as well as everywhere else you can find us on the social medias, are available down in the doobly-doo. And as usual, I want to go ahead and get a nice little plug in and drop in a whole bunch of stuff for our newest book, Twisted Faith, available where fine books are sold, especially on Amazon, both in paperback, ebook, paperback, hardcover, ebook, those three formats. Great story, great characterization, great third chapter in the Wild Space Saga series. The other two books are available on in ebook. The newer versions still have not yet come out on paperback. We'll be probably getting with our publisher, seeing what's going on right there, because it has been a while. But we'd love to see you guys go check it out, give us some little feedback, and hope to if you do, please do that. We love feedback. Just give it even if you didn't like it. And thank you very much for joining us, Finn. Good afternoon. Yeah, unfortunately Terry is not with us right now. He is recovering from the con. Well, he's at the con and kind of recovering from a little overstimulation. So he's kind of leaving me in charge. We're gonna find out if that was a mistake or not. All right, so guys, how y'all doing today?
Doing great.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. Do you still hear the echoing there, Vic?
I still hear it.
I do too. I switched to headphones just to see if it was coming from me, but
Okay. Let me turn. I'm gonna take a moment to do a little.
Can you put headphones on?
About to see if these work. I'm not sure if they will catch that or not. We're about to find out. I'm gonna try to see if I can do this through my computer. It's gonna take just a moment. If I had known this was gonna happen, I probably would have done something with that. Let me see here.
The joy of live TV.
All right, let me see here. All right, Bluetooth headset. Try this. Okay, and okay. Let me see.
Testing.
Try talking.
Testing.
Still not.
Still hear it.
Let me check.
if anything, now the delay is longer.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Let me see. QQ16 Bluetooth headset connected. Is this it? No. Oh wait, hang on. Is this it? Let me try that. All right. Somebody try talking.
Testing, testing.
It still seems to be
I hear it.
going in on my on the speaker system in my computer. I'm not hearing it on my Bluetooth, and it says it's connected. Dang it. Hang on. Try this again. Live, everybody.
Can you hear me?
I can hear y'all, but it's coming in on my speaker system.
Testing, testing.
Hang on. Let me see. Connected on voice music.
Testing, testing.
Like I said, I can hear you guys, but the problem
I can't
is
hear
that
anything now.
I'm not hearing anything on my. I can hear you on my speaker system. I'm trying to get the stuff through on my earphones, and for some reason it's not doing that.
He dropped out. I think he's going to try to come back. But now I can hear myself echoing as well.
Oh, I see what's going on. All right, my computer is. Hang on a minute. Let me try this. Mic settings.
You don't have StreamYards open twice, do you?
No, I do not. Hang on just a second, guys. Trying to. Does not mute mic. Edit avatar visual effects. Edit mic settings. No, that's not it. Oh, hang on. No.
Yes, that's right. Wild Space Saga, a full hour of troubleshooting live.
Okay. Speaker. It's set.
Will Brandon be able to solve his
Can you hear me
IT problem in time? Check. Well, I don't hear the echo.
All right.
Testing, testing.
Yeah. No. Right. Yeah.
There we
Now,
go.
now it's going on in my headphones. All right. So.
All right.
Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I had to fix that little problem there, and Vic was having an issue with the echoing. And you said what's it called? We never had that before because StreamYard's supposed to kind of fix that problem. But well, hey, I get earphones. I got earphones. The earphones were working for my computer, but you got it. StreamYard has to be difficult, and just go ahead and pipe everything still through your speakers, unless you go specifically to StreamYard and then tell it to put it through your earphones. Oh my God, modern technology. Can't leave Brandon unsupervised. Terry
that's an accurate assessment.
Yeah, Terry's popping in now on the thing. All right, so before we get started, we were in a little bit of a discussion, and I guess we can go ahead and make that into a bit of a topic for today, at least most part. Before that, if nobody was going to come, I was just going to start talking about books that I was reading at work and how they kind of maybe connect to ideas we've had for Wild Space Saga. But since we got guys here, we can do something a little bit different, and I'm happy about it because I've been trying to get Vic to join us for a couple of weeks now, and because of an interesting discussion that we had. And I kind of wish our friend was here. I don't want us to look like we're kind of throwing him under the bus, because we're not. But okay, so I know a lot of people out there are they don't particularly like AI. It's kind of a bugbear and a controversial issue in today's parlance, whether or not it's a good thing. And we admittedly do use a little bit of AI, usually just in advertising our stuff, making the songs that for some of you, if any of you have been part of our channel, have been enjoying. We hope. Out there, the little thematic songs that Terry's been working so hard on, that present different characters and different factions for our Wild Space Saga universe, and we of course use AI even for that. But that's pretty much the limit of it. I mean, I'd like to make my own art, and for those of you who have followed us on DeviantArt, you see that there is tons and tons of our own art there, and I'm still working on more. I'm currently working on the next page for a short comic we're doing, all our own art. We don't use AI for that, at least very, very tiny bits, maybe just for a couple of background elements, but that's just because I kind of suck at doing backgrounds myself. Other than that, No, we don't usually do that much AI, but it's still a big deal for a lot of people, even using a little bit of it. For some people they react very, very hot with a lot of hostility towards it. And let me see, Smiling Friends episode, Friendbot is a fantastic commentary on AI. Unfortunately, I never watched Smiling Friends. That show, admittedly, kind of gives me the creeps. Yeah, and yeah, Terry's right. Our writing is 100% us. I've never really used AI to help me in my writing. I don't think Terry has either. So we do it all on our own. But so we were doing the commercial for Wild Space Saga. And I wanted to bring that commercial up, but for those of you who want to check it out, go to our X account. It's Wild Space Saga. And you will see the commercials that we've done. And the very first one that I did, I have pinned on our X account. And I shared it with our critique group. And Vic is a member of our critique group in my hometown. We critique our writings once every couple of weeks. And it was a particular one with one of our main characters, Xerxes, peddling out a Wild Space Saga. And I shared it with my friend, and he had a lot of nitpicks for it. But I asked him, because I told him, I was like, well, we kind of made that using AI. And the nitpicks were, of course, things that, somebody who's worked with AI, especially for animation, has done. It's stuff that, is stuff you kind of expect, because you see a lot of things done in AI and are not always perfect. You do have some extremely professional work done I've seen before. I mean, I've seen some really amazing animations. You want to see that, go to the Archive in Between, or there's another one that does a lot of like cyberpunk-esque one. I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head. Really professionally done. But this was just something I was doing for funsies. And he started kind of nitpicking a lot of that. And I finally asked him, I was like, have you ever worked with AI before? And he said, well, no. And so I kind of had to explain to him different issues with making AI. And I shared that with Vic, and we kind of got into an interesting conversation, because I was saying, well, our friend was, kind of nitpicky about it. And what were some of the things that you had said, Vic? Because, I don't want to leave you, just kind of listening to me run my mouth.
Well, in a lot of ways, I agree with what our friend was saying about it, because I've kind of been on my own journey using AI. I'm a video producer by trade, so I've been very interested in following all the developments of this technology as it's developed over the last 2 or 3 years, and looking to see, is this going to be something I'm going to be able to use in my workflow, and also terrified, is this going to completely replace my entire industry to where anybody can create a commercial or a video just by typing something. And you were kind of alluding to it, I think, in the discussion we had earlier, is that AI cannot give you exactly what you want. No matter how good of a prompter you are, it has a limitation of what it can give you. It can give you something that's maybe 60%, 70% of what you want, but it'll never be able to, and I believe it will never be able to give you exactly what you want. And that last 30%, 20%, 10%, that's the uncanny valley we always hear about, to where the closer we get to it, the more that tension is inside of us, and we start rejecting it viscerally. And I think that's what our critique friend was getting at, is he was noticing all the things that were wrong. He doesn't care how the technology works. I don't care how the technology works. I'm all about, it's like, is it giving me what I want? And it can't. It can give you something that's close, and it's kind of feels like, and especially if you're making it, it will feel very close to what you want, where you're going to be able to forgive all the inconsistencies. But I think the random average person out there, I think as more of this stuff is out there, we're going to reject it more and more, because it's something that, whatever that 30%, 20% is missing, that's what we're going to react to. And it's just going to bug us, and and I'm noticing that. It's like, I was very, very pro AI. I was just fascinated seeing all the stuff as was being created when it was first coming out. But now it's like, every time I see something, I can immediately pick out all the AI isms without even having to think about it. And I think everybody's starting to do that now. You're just viscerally, subconsciously, you are seeing all the little annoying things, and that's just going to magnify the more of it we see, and it just becomes part of every single video that is on social media. It's like it seems like half the videos on social media are AI now.
All right. What about you, Michael? You have any thoughts on this yourself?
Well, I have to respectfully disagree a little bit with what Vic's saying, because and just from my own personal experience, I happen to know of a YouTuber, and I'm not going to name this person because I'm not trying to defame anybody. However, it is somebody that I believe you know, Brandon, and I know that is a fairly popular guy. We'll just say well over 50,000 subscribers. And this person gradually over the last year has migrated his entire workflow to AI. Meaning at this point, let's just say hypothetically that you wanted to do a video about, how a lightsaber works. So his workflow would now be to start out going to ChatGPT and telling it to write a script based on, how a lightsaber works. After it generated the script, he might go through a couple of iterations, add a few points here, there. But then once ChatGPT has the script done, he then would go over to, I can't remember the name of it, but it's a voice cloner that
11 Labs.
I don't know if it's 11 Labs or someone else, but it actually has a clone of his own voice, and that would read the script. And to the casual observer, you would just, even if you knew him, you would have to be listening carefully to catch on the idea that this is not him actually reading it. And then he takes that, and then he goes over to Kling, and also Grok, and starts creating visuals to add on to it. And so the entire workflow for this significant YouTube channel has gone to AI, and nobody knows the better. When I look at the chat on his videos, there's not even an inkling that anybody thinks it's AI slop, even though it 100% is. And I personally have a big problem with that kind of use of AI. I'm okay. Like, for example, if you're a small-time operation and there's a hole in your production, like you can do everything you need to do, but you can't produce music or something. And so you use something AI for your music. Or you got everything you need, but man, you just don't know how to do a background visual for your presentation. So use AI for that. Fine. But when everything is being generated by AI, it honestly, to me, dehumanizes what we're seeing. And online, I think we're seeing that more and more. We just see at this point, it's getting harder and harder to know what's real, what's fake. And AI is going to only improve in that regard. Now, will AI ever be as good as a quality screenwriter and director and all that? Of course not. But the problem is people are settling for not great. I mean, let's be real. Human beings wrote Starfleet Academy. Human beings wrote Star Trek Discovery. And those are not great shows. And so just because it's AI doesn't mean that it's worse than the human-produced content that's out there, because writing, quite frankly, is a lost art these days, especially in the realm of sci-fi fantasy, because when it comes to serialized productions, it's no longer getting a good sci-fi writer. It's just getting a writer and telling them that it's a sci-fi show. And they're like, oh, okay, sure, why not?
Yeah.
I don't like the creep that we're seeing with AI. I think that it's not going to be long before we'll have network-produced shows that are entirely AI.
See, I disagree with that. Go ahead, Brandon.
Mm-hmm. Well, go ahead. Say what you want to go. I talk a lot anyway. Go ahead. I'll say what I have to say.
Yeah, I understand. I used to think that, it's just going to be a matter of time before you're able to press a button and again, a fully produced thing that looks just like what network TV, low end network TV can produce, I don't believe we're going to get there, because this technology is so expensive and so uh, processor intensive that it's just not advancing enough. Like, for example, like there was this video that just came out a couple of days ago of a guy that does like visual effects and stuff like that, and he did this challenge where he was like he was going to do all the effects himself, like a dragon flying in on some kind of a side of a mountain, and like it's like a little minute-long scene, and he had Higgsfield, which is the state-of-the-art AI video generation. They were going to accept the challenge, and they were going to do an AI version of the same thing that he was doing. Sure. And they were using, according to what they were saying, this is like the best that we've got. We're going to show you that we can do as good as a human. And the results are just not that good. I mean, it's like, it's state of the art of what it can be done. And it couldn't get exactly what they wanted. It was close, it was a dragon flying over a waterfall, but it wasn't exactly what they initially had wanted. It didn't match the storyboards that they'd come up with, which is what part of the challenge was. And so what you're getting is you're getting something that it's a dragon, it's flying over a waterfall. Yes, it's doing what you want, but it is not giving you this dragon flying over this waterfall with this emotion, saying these words in the way that a human being would say them. And you're just not, it's just not getting that yet. I've been watching the progression of this technology very closely. The visuals, if you're just looking at stuff that's like edited together in like a trailer, all this stuff looks incredible. It looks like, oh man, there's a ton of Star Wars AI films that are out there that if you just look at them for like a second long shot, a bunch of them clipped together, it looks like you're watching an actual Star Wars movie. But the minute you sit down and watch scenes play out where it's characters supposedly giving dialogue and performances, it just completely falls apart. Mm-hmm. Yes, in the comment section you get people, oh, this is so much better than Disney. Disney should be ashamed that they can't produce stuff like this. And the stuff that's being shown is way worse than anything that Disney gives. At least Disney stuff is you're getting human being performances and actual art, attempt at art. But people are, like you say, people are going to, for a while, not be able to tell the difference. But I believe that the more of it we see, and I've noticed it just in myself and other people around me, it's like the more you see, you're instantly starting to be able to identify something that's AI. You can start seeing any of the infographics people make where there's a million little things on the page and or just any kind of graphic that's made, like especially a lot of thumbnails. You can tell AI generated thumbnail in an instant now, where it was harder at first. I think that's just going to continue to grow with us. And I think we're going to, I don't know how it's going to play out, but I think we're going to reject it as a society. We're going to just not, however that happens, we're going to not want to see this kind of stuff. And it won't be like boycotting it. It'll just be something we just don't like, and we just don't watch it.
I think that you're more optimistic than I am, but because look at the fandom when it comes to various franchises in the last few years. Like we look at the MCU, we look at Star Wars, Star Trek. All these franchises have had significant decline. However, they're still out there. They're still being produced, even though, and with the exception of the MCU, in my opinion, it doesn't seem like there's any real concerted attempt to improve it. They're just trying to get people used to a lower level quality. At least the MCU seems to be trying to retool and move in a positive direction. But when I look at The Mandalorian and Grogu as a film, that is, to me, was one of the laziest films I think I've ever seen. It's not terrible but at the same time, it's just 4 episodes of the Mandalorian TV show released in theaters. And I think that, and I'm not one of those hate Disney people, because obviously Star Trek's not Disney, but You know what I'm saying? Is that it's not a single studio pushing this. I think that the studios are looking for the most inexpensive way to produce something that looks expensive. And if they can find that sweet spot, which I think is what they're looking for, is they're trying to find something that people may not, they'll say, oh man, I miss, like, think about today. People always say, oh man, I miss when we had practical effects. Oh man, practical effects were so good. And man, I'm sorry, I don't know how old you are, Vic, but you got some silver in your hair, so I'm assuming you're in my general age category. Yeah, I remember when there was nothing but practical effects, and guess what? Practical effects sucked. A practical effect monster looked like a puppet, right? Where a well done CG monster can look real.
And it depends on what practical effects you're talking about. Because if you're talking about, using puppetry, they would look like a puppet.
No, I'm talking about
stop motion. It's a different thing.
But just in general.
Yeah. Stop motion.
Yeah, just in general, things look simultaneously better and worse today than they did before.
Right.
We just accepted it. Like, oh, it was gonna be a puppet. That's as good as you were gonna get, and you used your imagination to fill in the details.
And of course, now Darren says the Alien Queen and Aliens didn't suck. Okay, I will challenge you on that, Darren, because don't get me wrong, I think Aliens is a great film. I truly do. But my God, if you watch the Alien Queen, you can see how mechanical her actual movements are, and they're very careful to try and hide as much as that as they can. And that's the artistry of James Cameron trying to be a good director. But at the same time, if you look at the puppet's moving like this. It's just that the camera and the lighting and everything, they do a very good job of hiding it. But especially, like, there's the shot where Ripley is using the loader and drags the thing into the thing. And if you freeze frame on that, you can tell the loader has a Barbie doll in it. And it's literally, the whole thing is that big, And so...
I never noticed that, but
it's hilarious. Yeah, the shot where Ripley and the Alien Queen fall into the airlock, freeze frame on that. It is hilariously bad. But the thing is that these were still well-crafted stories done by very good directors and all that. That's what makes it work, not the visual, not the fact that it's practical. Because I get, if you look at James Cameron's work today, I'm sorry. I poop on Avatar all day long because I think the stories are lazy, but those movies are beautiful.
I like Avatar personally.
The creatures in Avatar look absolutely real, whereas in the Alien movies, you can tell that the xenomorphs are basically either guys in suits or puppets. And that's not to insult the filmmakers, because that's all that was available back then.
I don't think that the movies have. In answer to Darren's question, Darren's made several comments. We need to get to those in a moment, dude.
Yeah.
But he said that he was asking, some movies have to pass a freeze frame test. No, I don't think that's what Michael's saying.
No,
I think he's just saying, when you look back. And Michael, we're all in that age range where we remember when movies were all done using practical effects. The Jurassic Park, I think, was the paradigm shift when people started using CG,
that was the first
CG a bit more.
Truly great CG monsters. Was Jurassic Park.
Yeah, when looking back, looking at the first Jurassic Park now, it is so easily CG. It is because it's a very primitive version, but at the time that it came out, it was so realistic. But no, we're not saying that they need to pass a freeze frame test, because we're just saying that on the whole, you have visual effects back then, and though they look inferior to some CG, we still look nowadays at CG movies and look at the practical effects movies and see that there's something to be said about practical effects that just makes it look, in a sense, even though it may be inferior, in a sense it also looks better. And I think the reason is because the level of skill that was needed in practical effects to make them look as realistic as possible.
I'll say
I mean,
that with CG, here's the problem: is that with CG, it's very easy to fall into. It's just like when we talk about AI slop. There is very much such a thing as CG slop, right? Where the big thing with CGI is that if it's not lit properly compared to the practical elements. So if you have a human interacting with a monster and the human is lit at a different level than the monster, it makes it look terrible. And you also have to be very careful with any kind of direct interaction, like if a person touches a CG character. That's still very challenging today.
And let's not forget the juxtaposition of green screen, where you'll see somebody running from a CG monster, and it is so blatantly obvious it is one green screen layered over another.
Right.
It's like somebody wasn't even trying.
Yeah. So there's good CG, and then there's lazy CG. There's just like, oh yeah, we can fix that in post. It's kind of CG, right? That's not what we want. Is CG that's intentional, like when James Cameron takes on a project, as opposed to something that it's funny because I'm talking about how great James Cameron is, and I think he's one of the most overrated directors. But but at least he knows how to use CG, and so if it's done well, good CG is far superior to anything from back in the day. And I think a great example of that is, and I don't know if you guys remember this movie. It was a classic. And I loved it because I got to see a certain part of the female anatomy when I was a younger man. And that was 1979's King Kong.
Oh, I was thinking of Franco Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet.
No. King Kong from 79. Now, that movie was one of the most ambitious practical effects ever done. They built a life-size, fully articulated Kong. The problem is that he could, well, not just his hand. They actually built a life-size feet to head. But the problem is all he could do is this. And so they used him in like 2 shots in the entire movie because it was so difficult to make him do anything that looked real. And with the hand, it's like, you'd have the girl sitting on his hand and the other hand would just kind of come in and do that because they couldn't make it move like a real creature would, because of the limitations.
It was just so huge. Yeah.
Right. Well, now today puppetry is improved as well as CG. Like, if you look at like creatures like Rocky from Project Hail Mary, which have you seen that yet, Brandon?
Yeah, we talked about it.
I know we talked about. I just didn't remember if you. Okay, so yeah, Rocky.
One of the best movies I've seen this year.
Yeah, some of the best puppetry work I've ever seen. And then I think some of the best puppetry is when you think it's CG. Another example would be this guy here, Herbie from Fantastic Four. Most of Herbie in that movie is actually a puppet. Most people assumed it was CG. And so really well done puppetry combined with really well done CG makes Hollywood magic even today. But the problem is Hollywood is always looking for how do we spend half the money we spent on that last movie and bring the people in for the box office, and that's unfortunately where I think Hollywood is really hoping to eventually use AI to almost completely generate films.
Yeah,
and I hate to say that, but I think that's what they want to do, even if they're never successful.
It's definitely what they want.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about it is this. I've seen. I don't know, y'all guys. I've seen actual, short films, things like that were used completely using AI. And I'm sorry. I agree and yet disagree with y'all that the things that I have seen using AI are spectacular. Stuff that I've seen that you would not really. And I wish I could remember the name of that company or person that does these. They're these cyberpunk shorts, and I cannot remember the name of them for the life of me. I've been watching them constantly on Facebook. They do these shorts. They even popped up a contest recently with people who want to submit, story ideas to them. They're all done using AI. But looking at them immediately, you would not think that. You'd look at this and just think this was some really elaborate story that was done using costumes and actual just normal computer effects.
Right.
But it was all done using AI, and it's done almost seamlessly. So I don't think that AI is just going to be something that's going to be going to have a big boom and then just like kind of taper off. I think there is going to be a tapering, but it's not going to be as much as you would think there, Vic. Because
I think it's going to be a taper on, though. That's where I think you're wrong.
Right.
I think it's going to gradually increase to the point where they're trying to slow cook us, like the metaphor that I used beforehand about Terminators. They want to slow cook us. They want to throw in a little bit here and there, throw in a shot here and there, and then as things get more involved, we'll just make all the visual effects shots AI, and then eventually, you know what, the actors can just do voiceovers, and then eventually, we'll just sample a clone.
Oh, Gossip Goblin. That's the name of the person I'm thinking of. At least he's on a YouTube called Gossip Goblin. And they're a list of cyberpunk AI shorts, incredibly well done. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying is that it is a taper on. I think that Hollywood is going to incorporate more AI into what they do because it's getting better and better and better at doing the job that normal humans would have done, making AI stuff. I mean, not AI, excuse me, CG stuff in the beginning. And it has visibly been getting better and better. There's like I said, one of the coolest AI things that I've seen outside of that Gossip Goblin thing I was trying to tell you about is called the Archive in Between. Now, what they do, they kind of mix AI with normal stuff. Like instead of they're using a voice generator. It's an incredibly good one. I think they're using a combination of some things using voice generators and other things using regular people, because like the voice generators make things sound like announcements, and they do it in the style that's reminiscent of something out of the 1930s, except without that transcontinental accent thing that they did. It's totally different, but they have it with it sounds like it's coming through a carbon microphone. But they do the backgrounds with the AI imaging it's really well done, and it's done very well to the theme in which it's being used. And then you have other shorts that they do that involve actual people narrating certain stories that come out of these worlds. It's like a archive of like different stories from different worlds and different universes, and all kind of shares the same similar theme. Something similar to the SCP archives. Mm-hmm. But they use AI and they use regular stuff kind of almost seamlessly. And it's incredibly well done. And it's really fun to watch, because even for people who don't like AI, they see what AI can do when used properly. And it makes a really amazing world. It makes an amazing world or series of worlds. Now, go ahead.
Well, here's... And I know maybe it's just because I'm old and grumpy, as my name implies, mm-hmm. but I just have a problem with developing technology whose sole purpose is to replace human input, and which is what this generative AI, that's what it is. And it's not, I mean, and we see it in the most practical ways when we look at things like the Waymo cars. Where here we have an AI system controlling basically Ubers, and for the express purpose of putting more money in the pockets of the people at Uber and less money in the pockets of drivers. And it basically we're just eliminating the drivers and replacing it with these algorithmically controlled cars. And now we're seeing and of course with the generative content, we're seeing it gradually start to replace. It's funny because people are going to say, man, I remember the good old days of CGI. Boy, that was good stuff. But where we have CG gradually being replaced by algorithmically generated images. And using technology to make humans obsolete, I'm sorry, that's how you get Terminators. But it's not Terminators that are going to run around with guns and shoot you. It's Terminators that are going to put you out of work.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to say that I'm looking forward to seeing that kind of thing happening. I really think that what will happen is going to be more of a combination. Like, AI works best when you're having a combination of using AI for certain things and also having a human element. We with the AI voice things that we have right now still do not do a good job of emoting, and you can usually tell when something is done using AI. That friend that you were talking about, I'm sorry, I don't know the name of that person. Maybe we could, I know you said you didn't want to bring up the person's name in the show, and that's okay. After the show, I guess you could tell me who it is, and I can decide, whether or not I know who you're talking about. But you see a lot of people like that, just kind of turning everything over to AI, the visuals, the voices, everything like that, and yeah, that gets really annoying, especially because you can tell it's AI because they always seem to mispronounce even the simplest things.
Yeah, I watched a whole video about how John Gray is going to be Phoenix in the next X-Men movie.
Oh God!
It said Jean the first time, and then it said John for the rest of the video. But
yeah, and you see, and that's one of the problems with AI is it's consistency.
Yeah.
Well, at least some of the the maybe not the highly professional stuff that a lot of people who have the money for are using, but the stuff that we a lot of normal people use. Yeah, they're still working on consistency, and you're right.
Well, that's the laziness of the human being that heard them say John and didn't say, okay, I got to fix that.
Yeah.
Each time it says John and change it to Gene. Didn't do that. That's where you're going to notice all of this stuff is when the human is lazily using this tool and just making a prompt and then spitting it out and saying, I'm done for the day. I'm good.
Right. But
that irritates me.
Yeah, but if we were talking about a commercial outfit doing this, then they would not let that slide, right? They would have gone back and prompted the thing to make sure to pronounce it correctly, and done it over and over until it was right. And if you could do that, if you took the time to do that, then of course you're going to fool people. You're going to, people are going to think it's human content when it's just AI slop.
You're talking about actual people who are working for professional companies compared to your average YouTuber.
Right. I'm a professional video producer. I go out and videotape and shoot stuff, but then I'll bring it in and I will, let's say I needed to get rid of this, this lamp. It used to be impossible to do. Now I can draw a circle around it and then tell AI to give me that wall without the lamp in it. And I just place that over top of it, and you won't see it. You'd never know. It doesn't look like, I wouldn't call it AI slop, but it was definitely created or enhanced by AI. And I think that's what we're going to see an infinitely more amount of, is where it's the stuff that's going to be on the fringes is what's going to be AI created, that you're not going to. It's when you're looking at something that's in the center of the frame that is supposed to be emoting and being the focus of it. That's when you're going to notice there's something wrong with that. I don't like that. And I think that's where we're going to have that uncanny valley. I know I keep talking about it. I really do think we're underestimating just how much of an impact in the broad spectrum that the uncanny valley, the better these images get, like you were saying, Brandon, the images that these things are giving, like I watch a lot of Star Wars ones, look 100% like it could have been ILM produced. I mean, flawless imagery, flawless spaceships and monsters and stuff. It's whenever the characters start talking, that's when you notice there's something wrong. This is like an alien that is pretending to be a human being trying to give a performance. And I think we just feel that inside of us. And I think that's going to be something that, even if we're not, explicitly being able to identify, we're going to start noticing it and feeling it and somehow rejecting it. I know it's kind of pie in the sky hope, but I believe that's what we're going to do. I think we're going to reject it as humanity at some point. The closer we get, the more we're going to be repulsed by it.
But isn't the whole point of these language learning models is that over time they gradually mimic humans better? If you look at ChatGPT today and you tell it to write you a script, the script that it's going to produce today is many times better than the script it would have written for you 3 years ago.
Right. And for that kind of stuff, yes, but like for video, I've been following it, like just the cost of this kind of stuff to produce a 30-second video that looks good and is what you want. It's now costing $200-$300 of credits to be able to generate these things. If you want to make like a 5-minute movie or an hour-long movie as a regular person, you're still looking at like $20,000-$30,000 of your own money of having to generate these things over and over again, hoping to get something that works. And these things are just going to get more and more expensive. I mean, these models are not getting cheaper. We've been given the cheap version of it, just the taste to get us addicted to it. And they're going to be like, well, now that you need us, now it's going to be $200 a month, $500 a month. For video producers, you're looking at $1,000, $2,000 a month for basic stuff that used to be like $50 a year ago.
I don't know. I don't think that's really how economics works. I mean, usually when the technology gets more advanced and it usually gets easier to do a thing, things prices tend to go down. So I don't know if it's going to be,
But they're having. I mean, just with all of these data centers and stuff, and like, Meta, Zuckerberg talking about how like maybe we got to buy 3 Mile Island in order to be able to produce enough power to run these data centers. I mean, that's a scale. That's a scale that's not going to get cheaper for us. I mean, it's gonna. The more we rely on it, the more they're going to be like. Not in the just like with like Netflix. It's creeping up.
And I don't think that we're going to need to use that much, square mileage to create AI data centers. I've seen so many.
Don't underestimate. There's a couple things here, Brandon. Number one, you have a whole lot of 15 to 20-year-olds that want to come up with a way to generate some AI slop that they can monetize on YouTube and make a bunch of money. So, and porn. You put those two things together, and that means this is going to just continue to explode, because you can do it. I mean, there is literally nothing you cannot generate given enough prompts. But the power required for these data centers is ridiculous, and it's only going to keep getting bigger and bigger unless there's some kind of major breakthrough in either the language models themselves or in the processing power in order to do this. Unless there's some kind of massive breakthrough that makes it so that you need a lot less power to do it, this is going to continue to escalate. And then the problem is it's going to make it so that keeping the lights on in your house is going to become more expensive in order to subsidize all the AI being generated.
We're getting ready to have to do some Black Mirror type of having to ride bikes to power our own AI.
Well, maybe I'm just, an optimist on this kind of thing. I think that, as technology progresses, I think the requirements for AI, AI generation may reduce because when it comes to computer technology works, things get smaller.
Think about it this way, Brandon. Every component in your car has gotten cheaper, but cars have gotten a lot more expensive.
Yeah, I mean because the car itself is becoming more sophisticated.
Computers are dirt cheap. There's all the new tech in your car is cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, but cars themselves are more and more expensive. Why? Because of the resources required to put it together. And it's the same thing that we're going to see with AI. The AI, the language models that they're using are going to basically naturally improve and evolve on their own eventually. But even as they get better, they're still going to require massive amounts of power in order to do the computing necessary to actually generate the audio, visual, and text that you want.
I also think that corporate greed is a part to play in all this.
Well, they're not going to do it without making a problem.
Right, but I think that over time, they may be somebody, finally just say, hold on a minute there. Do we really need to be spending all this money to make something that is this, compact, and you look at the cost things and you realize that they're just putting a whole bunch of padding into this, and that it's going to be that, and that AI technology is going to be so absolutely necessary in the future that they're going to have to back off cost wise, and have corporations be less greedy on this so that it can function, and function, be part of society.
That's so optimistic.
It is. I do admit it is a very optimistic thing. I mean, because but I also kind of look at it, how Frank Herbert saw AI technology is that it's also going to stop people from thinking, and that's what worries me the most. But that's a totally different can of worms altogether. What I'd like to do, guys, before we do anything else on this, there's been a lot of conversation in the chat area, and especially with Terry, kind of making his own commentary, and I haven't really been addressing that, and I'd like to do that as well. Also, we got another person here. Let me see here.
That would be me.
Idea of people. Oh, exposed. Okay, I thought that was somebody else.
No,
all right. So first of all, I did want to acknowledge that Darren was a newcomer to the to the chat, and I'd like to welcome him. Thank you. It's always good to see somebody new popping in. And Terry was making some commentary on some things that we were saying. For one thing, let me see. He was, because we were trying to fit Wild Space Saga in this. We were kind of going off on some tangents, but it's okay because it is a big subject. And bringing in Wild Space Saga, we just was like to say he was making lore songs, but they'll always be free for people. They're meant to accompany the stories and characters. It's a way to provide an extra layer of depth through song. Yeah, because we're saying that AI in this case is very, very useful, and especially how we've been using it to just be giving it an entertaining side to something that is just more entertainment.
And just to point out, because he may not have heard it when I said this right at the beginning of our conversation, but if somebody, especially a small-time producer on YouTube or TikTok or whatever, and they have a hole in their production, in this case, music, and you use AI to fill that hole, I'm totally okay with that. What I'm not okay with is channels that are more and more and more just using AI to produce their work. That this is like you don't even hear a human voice, you don't see human created graphics, and it's not a human written script. It's just AI slop, and it's all over YouTube now.
You're seeing that a lot with a lot of, especially the shorts, reels, TikToks, whatever.
Oh my gosh! 10 things you didn't know about. It's going to be AI.
Now, as much as I like the anime Mushoku Tensei, I get a lot of that about like elements of Mushoku Tensei. And admittedly, I actually like watching them because they do talk about some things I didn't know because I didn't read, all the what you call light novels and whatnot. But people still use this kind of stuff to make just nothing but these little shorts. 10 things you didn't know about this, and it's so lazy.
And it's easy. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the thing. They do this to get their little names, get the algorithm going, get their 15 minutes of fame, get some popularity, maybe get a little bit of money off of YouTube if it gets popular enough. And it is really, really lazy. There's a series of shorts I was looking at called Stoic Cold. It was about elements of stoicism, kind of shown through a dynamic between couples, and especially like couples where this person is being manipulative and this person is able to spot the manipulative nature of what is going on and is able to use Stoic ideology to do it. And it's really good intellectually because there's nothing wrong with what he's saying. But he uses AI animations for it, and this person and these people who do it are so lazy with the AI animations that they don't bother trying to correct the hiccups and the issues. They had this one where he walks off, opens the door, and the door doesn't even open in a natural way that normal doors open. And this person couldn't have been bothered to just redo the prompt to have it animated, in a way that where the door actually opens like a door. All kinds of stuff. So it's just so completely lazy. And so if you're doing something, and even like what we try to do when we make our AI animations for our work, is I try at least to make it as good as humanly possible. So you're not spotting, a lot of really big stupidities. If I'm seeing something if I may put in a prompt, no matter how good everything else turned out, if you have something that pops in that is just completely stupid, I'm not going to use it. I want it to actually be something that's really good. If it's something you see that's going on in the thing that you see it is a little weird, it might have just been something I overlooked, but because it was very small. Like, I did not notice that the ship in the background had changed somewhat while Xerxes was walking across the tarmac doing the advertisement. Somebody spotted that, and I'm like, oh no, because I tried to get ChatGPT to change the look of the ship back to what it originally had when I was trying to take out certain elements of the original picture, and I got it to as good as I could possibly get it, and then I started doing the animations, and then I forgot how Grok likes to animate things in the background, and so I didn't tell it to not animate the ship. So that's something that just kind of that I accidentally missed. Let me see here. Terry is popping in. So I would also add that trained ChatGPT on our own artwork with the title cards and the lore songs. Oh yeah, but that's also one of the cooler things about AI is if you use a particular thing enough times when you're working with it, it actually does learn what you want to use, so it doesn't change it as much. Both ChatGPT does that, and Grok does that as well. Because when it comes to animations, like Pip is one of our favorite characters, and we let her present things for Wild Space Saga, and all I need to do to tell Grok is just like have Pip do this in the voice that we've been using, and it's been consistent with her voice all along. It's been a joy to use it in that way. So it does some really cool things. However, what we're just trying to say is that there is a good way to use AI I think AI works best as supplemental. Put in a human element. You can use AI for certain things, but also let there be a human element. Maybe using voice acting, that kind of stuff. Even though there are AI voice programs that actually do a really good job. I'm working on that right now with making an audiobook version of another one of my non Wild Space Saga related books. It's a program. I don't want to go back and look at it. But you can make an audiobook on your own using AI, but it's very, very sophisticated. You can train it to pronounce the words correctly. You can give it the right kind of emotions, that kind of stuff. So it really, really works. Really, really works nicely. So yeah, it works good supplementally, but also I think a more sophisticated program can be made to really bring out emotions in words, but it's still, in the end of the day, not going to be fully as good as the human element. And to be honest, I do have plans to actually make an actually human narrated version of that book, even if I have to do it myself, because I actually can narrate pretty well and I have a good editing program. But AI still does a good job supplementally, and I know I'm just kind of spinning my wheels there. Let me see what I've been saying the whole time. Use it for the elements we can't create easily. Yeah. Let me go back and see if there's if one of Darren, I know he was making some commentary, and I just want to make sure that we didn't miss anything important that he said, because we've been kind of spinning our wheels on that, and that's okay, But
if Darren said it wasn't important.
Let me see. Yeah, okay. I think we kind of got the best things. One thing I did want to talk about is how a lot of people do use the term AI slop thrown around a lot. And yeah, when it's poorly used, when we talk about the lazy stuff that we see on things like YouTube, TikTok, Insta, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that is AI slop. But there are some things that we see AI being used, and it absolutely is not slop. I mean, you can go look at the archive in between and all the stuff that they use, and I don't think it's slop at all. It's the people who do that one put a lot of care into that. The other thing I told you, the cyberpunk ones that I was telling you about, that's absolutely not slop. These people actually seem to put a lot of work into that. And Yeah, in the future, I do unfortunately see that we'll be using AI to a degree that I think will absolutely annoy people. So I do sympathize with you, Vic, on that regard. I think there might be a dialing back somewhat, but I think that's just going to cause people to use AI maybe more responsibly, and so we'll push forward again. Um, and
Well,
yes, I know.
just in my industry, I do video production, and about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, a lot of my smaller clients started doing their own stuff using a lot of AI type stuff, thinking that we can do it all ourselves. Well, they're all coming back now because they've realized that it can't give them exactly what they want. That last 15, 20, 30% is driving them nuts that they can't get it. And that's what a human being can do. And I think that's what's going to continue to happen as people make more and more of this stuff and it's just not right. And whatever that thing is that they're trying to get it to do, it's okay if it's just like if you're not paying attention to it or if you're not worrying about it, if it's just playing in the background, you're not going to notice or care about it. But if it's something you're trying to create and it's not giving it to you, that's when regular people are going to start noticing it. Because I think it's just we're going to be so inundated with all of this stuff. I kind of liken it like when you go to a convention of some kind. You walk into the dealer showroom and you're just overwhelmed by 10,000 booths and all kinds of stuff. Like if you go to a comic book convention and it's just your brain can't handle it. But after you walk around 2 or 3 times, then you start to focus and you're starting to be able to sort all that stuff out and figure out what you want, what's important and what's not important. I think that's what we're going to be doing with AI. The more of it we see, we're kind of in the overwhelmed mode right now to where it's just all coming in. It all looks amazing. It's all flashy. It's like, oh wow, look at that. It's like a Millennium Falcon, and look, there's somebody making dragons. And but when you really start to look at it, you're like, okay, well that's not exactly the Millennium Falcon. That's like this. It's close, but it's not quite. And that's not this. That's not this. I think we're going to continue to do that. I mean, I really do think that we're going to be crossing that uncanny valley to where it's just going to be something as a culture we are going to push back on it in ways that we don't like. There's a lot of people that are doing all the AI slop and boycotting all that. Those people aren't going to be the ones that are going to be driving this pushback. It's going to just be people just kind of like being creeped out by stuff and just kind of pushing away and walking away and just ignoring it or avoiding it. And it's just that's how it's just gonna change. This is how we're gonna defeat the enemy.
And I also do. And we're kind of getting. Unfortunately, I don't have to work today, so we can go a little overtime. I do agree, and also I did want to mention something that Michael did say, and it's like, yeah, in this day and age, unfortunately, it seems like good writing when it comes to Hollywood is kind of a lost art. And even if we switch things over to AI, it's not going to help matters if what you're inputting and creating is is not is not a good work. Yeah, there are people who still know how to write a good story. There are people who know how to write who know how to write good movie scripts, good books, all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, it's just that Hollywood is just ignoring them. But this is the reason why you see a sudden bloom of AI created what you call independent works that actually seem to come out better than what Hollywood is making right now, and not just AI created, but also just normally created stuff. I mean, you look at stuff by Glitch, by Bibsy Pop, all those good folks, and you see a lot of oh good grief, what was the word I was using again? Indie works, and that shows that good writing still exists. And well, and I'm sorry, I think even in some professional elements of Hollywood, good writing still exists. Like I said, we talked about Project Hail Mary. That is still a sign that there is still good writing out there. And so I think that we shouldn't become too pessimistic about it. But I also think that we shouldn't be, I think people shouldn't be that, what you call, what's the word? this antagonistic towards AI. I think we just need to be careful and maybe have a more practical mindset about it, and understand that there's a good way to use it and a bad way to use it, and maybe try to start people on trends that use it responsibly, use it well, use it in a way that it's not, in your face, use it in a way that it shows that there was professionalism and care done, rather than just using it for everything. And like Vic, you're right. I think we're just in an era where we're playing with it like a toy, because it's so new. But when the novelty wears off, then where do we go from that?
So I think what we've learned today is that Brandon will embrace our robot overlords, while I will firmly reject them, and Vic is somewhere in between.
For like me, when I'm doing my writing and video producing, AI has been one of the most amazing, game-changing tools I've ever encountered. I mean, I've been doing this stuff for 30-something years, and the last couple of years of what AI has been able to allow me to accelerate and do stuff. I mean, I'm not just having AI do stuff. I am using it as part of my process. I am doing it to speed up things that used to take me 4 hours to do. I can do in 6 seconds. It's like Genesis. We can do it in 6 minutes. I feel that all the time now, and it's like it is amazing. And like I use AI for brainstorming in my writing. I do 100% of my writing, but I will happily use my critique group to get ideas. I'll use AI. I'll use friends that I write stuff with. I'll watch stuff and steal stuff from movies and TV shows and books. I take all the inspirations and put it in the gumbo. AI is one of those inspirations. I'm not using it as a cut and paste kind of thing. That's why I think it is invaluable in the kinds of things that it has allowed me to put into my stories that otherwise I never would have had the opportunity to.
Yeah, I mean, it really does work out. Well, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and call it a day here. Thank you once again, Michael and Vic, for joining me. That way I wouldn't have had to just been running my mouth over just about books that I've read. And that's okay. I think it still would have worked out. But yeah, this, I think, was a lot more interesting, a lot more detailed. I mean, some people may hate this discussion. Some people may embrace it, or maybe it doesn't do anything at all. It would be really cool to see a lot of comments down in the comment section about that, a little bit of debate going for people who come in later on and watch this. And I hope that works out. And I just also wanted to thank Darren Wagner. He was a new guy to our group. If you're still watching, thank you very much for joining us. You'll join us again. Thanks again, Finn, for joining us as well. And so just want to make sure, guys, to remind you again about our books. We do have the address to get them from Amazon down in the doobly-doo. Of course, also links to all our social medias. And we hope that you'll, check those books out. Leave a review, even if you didn't like them, and comment, rate, subscribe down there as well. Just keep it civil. Hope you might get a chance to do that. Share us out there on the social internets with your friends, your family, maybe even your enemies. I don't know, but so. Thanks a lot, guys, for joining us once again. And so this is, and we hope you'll join us again next time on the Northwest Patches. Thanks, Terry, for joining me down in the comment section as well. Did he say anything silly before he went? Okay, it needed to be discussed. Well, yeah, it did need to be discussed. You're right. And so once again, guys, this is Brandon Hill, and Terry was in the audience, and of course, Michael and Vic. Thank you for checking us out, and we hope you'll see you again. And until then, stay lucky and stay blessed. Take care.
Humans resist.